You're welcome back to the Pulse. Now, the Inspector General of Police, John Kudalo, has today raised concerns that the Ghana Police Service and his personnel could have done better in the instance on Sunday when some supporters attacked the residence of the NPP flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo. There's more in this interview.
As the Inspector General of Police of this republic, I know I'm very much in charge. I don't know whether it's by plan or design, but all these distractions and all this name calling, I don't take them as anything at all. In this position, I will have to. These are the nuances. But unfortunately for us, those of us at this side, we can't talk. But we must remember that we are also human. But we as a police force will remain focused. We shall not be detracted. Try to ensure that we go according to our mandate and deliver Ghana a very successful elections. As at now, that's our main duty. And no distraction will let us go off course.
And sir, I know you have said that the Sunday event is still being investigated, but just recently the president commented on it and said that your men did not meet up to standard in terms of responding proactively to whatever happened on Sunday. What have you got to say on that?
Well, I'll say that the president's analysis and statements are correct because we sent him the report. I came and did a report start through the night to about 5 a.m. and made sure that a report was sent to a look at the nature of the issue for him to be able to comment on it. So what he said was objective report that was based on facts and analysis from the IGP's office.
But so far, what have you got on that?
I think it's okay, I'll not go further.
Still talking about the IGP, he's been giving us our peace message with 18 days to go to the elections.
John Kudalo, Inspector General for Police, and I stand for peace. My peace message to Ghanaians is that we should all try to comport ourselves, be very, very responsible in our speeches and our behavior as we approach the elections, because the laws and rules of the country before, during, and after the elections are the same. So let's just play to the rules. Let's be very, very responsive. Go to the election or polling stations, cast your vote, go back and relax. At 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock when the results start trickling in your quietness of your bedroom or your chamber, you can listen to it. Nobody should go there and try to abrogate onto himself the powers of the Electoral Commission. The polling agents should be very vigilant and then alert. They should know that they are there for a purpose. They should not go and abrogate onto themselves authorities that don't belong to them, trying to check those who are of age or not of age. There's to ensure that the number of people who vote correspond to the papers that they are taking and make sure that nobody is shortchanged. But they should not abrogate onto themselves the authority of the returning officer or presiding officer at the polling stations. The police officers, as I've always warned them, to try to be very neutral, impartial, and professional as possible, because our demeanor, actions, and inactions will let people try to color us in various shades. We try to plow through the middle and come out very professionally. Once again, I know that we've done it 6 times, and this time around, Ghana will come out in one whole piece and not in pieces. God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Still staying on election-related matters today, the editor of the Ghana Law Report, Dr. Bota, is asking that political party agents do not declare results on December 7. He says that that's one of the main causes of what creates tension after the Ghanaians go to cast their ballot on that day. Let's hear more from him.
It is subsection 3C of CR 94, which provides that at the end of the elections, the results should be posted at the polling station. My peace message is founded on this, namely, that all the agents of the presidential and parliamentary candidates must be vigilant in taking note of all of the results posted or in plain language displayed at the polling station, or as stated in the copy of the declaration of the results form jointly signed by the presiding officer, the candidates or their reps, and the counting agents. But all the political parties and their agents must resist the temptation of declaring the results based on the results as posted at the polling station. they must never publicly announce the results of the presidential and parliamentary elections as collated by them before the formal and final announcement or declaration by the Electoral Commission. This to ensure the much-needed peace in the country after the official announcement or declaration of the results by the Electoral Commission. The results may be challenged by the political parties or their agents or reps only after they have been declared by the Electoral Commission.
So that's the admonition from Dr. Butter, the editor of the Ghana Law Report. Now, with 18 days to go, yes, we may be voting for a president, but the heat will also be in all 275 constituencies, at least for the parliamentary elections and the choice of who will represent you in your constituency. Today, we're casting our eyes to Odododiodoo, where we're learning that a lot of things are happening on the ground. Voters are being influenced by a whole host of issues, including premixed fuel. Maxwell Agua has more in this report.
There has been a lot of heat on the campaign trail. The political temperature in the Odododiodoo constituency keeps rising. The heat can even be felt here at the beach. Our first point of call was the Jamestown beach close to the old harbor. The countless NPP and NDC flags carefully hoisted on the fishing boats along the shore give an indication of the movement. The pungent smell of rotten fish here cannot be ignored. A rude reminder of the occupation of the people living along the coastal belt of this constituency. On a hot afternoon, these bare-chested fishermen are busily mending their nets. We are in the political season, and their song succinctly captures the common political narrative here. There may be a lot of suffering, but they won't vote for the opposition party.
The Jamestown community forms an integral part of the Odododiodoo constituency, with tidal waves wreaking havoc on some parts of the coastal line here. And we're interested to find out how that would influence the choice of voters in the upcoming elections. It would also be interesting to know how the cost of premixed fuel and outboard motors would affect the choices that voters make here in this constituency. Would the NPP's promise of a coastal development authority increase their chances here in this constituency?
Isabil is a fisherman at the Jamestown beach. He is skeptical about the NPP's ability to save his colleague fishermen from their current woes.
MPP cannot do anything for us in this constituency. The NDC is the only party we will vote for. President Kufuor was president for 8 years. He couldn't do anything for us. He couldn't build a harbour. The NDC has started delivering already. They brought us some outboard motors. They shared it amongst us. NDC can help us, not MPP.
Strong conviction about the governing party despite a recent raid by government to seize fishing nets in the area. The nets seized were those used to catch fingerlings. Mohammed has been fishing here for more than 13 years now. He was one of the many fishermen whose nets were seized. He says since his fishing nets were confiscated by some soldiers, he has never been attracted to the NDC.
I did not want to vote. Now, I want to vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. We want to vote for Banma because when they came for our fishing net, which they described as illegal, Vanderpoel could not help us. However, government has done well with the outboard motor. The cost has been reduced drastically. The cost of fuel for our outboard motors is still the same. It has not changed.
In a community with a very low literacy rate, rejected ballots are common on election day. Very close to the fish market here at Jamestown, these women from the Glow Ministries are teaching the women how to vote. Victoria Ayi is listening with rapt attention. She says she's impressed with the work of the NDC.
Nilante and the president have done very well. Their achievements are unparalleled, and that is what will inform my choice in the upcoming elections. We will vote for them to continue till they finish. They have built a lot of schools and roads. Ghana is now like a foreign country.
One of
the many things that would influence the choices that voters make in the upcoming election is the issue of jobs. Secondly, also, is how peaceful this constituency would be before and after the elections.
There are young men and women sitting in the streets and alleyways chatting the day away. Many of them have no jobs, a reflection of the high unemployment situation in this constituency. And this is one of the issues likely to influence people's choices. Ni Ankra Ayi is a graduate of the Accra Polytechnic. He has been unemployed for 6 years. On a hot afternoon, he was relaxing under a shed on the shoulders of the Osha Fort stretch.
Graduate Jimmy, into school 6 years.
I am a graduate. I have been unemployed for 6 years. The incumbent party has been in power since I got out of school. So I will vote them out and bring in the party that can get me the job.
Do the first thing.
The Odododiodoo constituency is where Ghana's boxing hub Woyome is. For years, the people have longed for modern boxing facilities. Today, they have it. A new boxing emporium funded by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust stands at the edge of the Korle Lagoon. President Mahama was there to inaugurate it. For opinion leader Kote, the infrastructural development of the Mahama-led administration in the constituency will ensure more votes for the NDC.
If you look at this constituency, they are building schools. Number 2, I can talk about the boxing arena. Number 3, his wife Lordina came to this constituency. The children did not have an ambulance. She has provided that. He has embarked on a massive infrastructural drive.
Osha Clinic.
Our next stop was the Salaga Market. It has been at the center of intense politicking here in the Odododiodoo constituency, as both the NDC and NPP candidates promised the people the facility will be fixed. The market women here are not happy to see our cameras. They say successive governments have disappointed them. Beatrice Lai is a seller at the Salaga Market. She says successive governments have postponed the renovation of the market.
It's close to 19 years since we were moved here. We were selling on the street. They said they'll be renovating the old market for 6 months, but it's 19 years and they have still not done it. Every occasion, they promise to fix it, but they never do it. When it rains, this place gets flooded. They steal from us too.
This dilapidated structure is the old Salaga market. Several decades after it was closed down for renovation, it has not seen even the shadows of the market women who used to do brisk business here. The Salaga market has been the talking point of this campaign. The two leading political parties, the NDC and the NPP, are promising to renovate this market when they are voted into power. It is likely to be the main thing that would drive voters and influence their choice in the upcoming elections.
The issues that would influence people's voting choices are many. Campaigns over the period about the peaceful nature of President Mahama seem to be gaining attention. At the old Fadama market, an onion seller, Kasim Al-Hassan, says he supports President Mahama because he's a peaceful man.
Your mama is peace man. We want peace for Ghana. We don't want war. We don't want fighters. We don't want anything. We want peace. Our vote give your mama.
One of the leading candidates in the Odododiodoo constituency is Nilante Banaman. He's the NPP parliamentary candidate. We bumped into him at the Jamestown police station.
I'm going to renovate the London market, renovate the Salaga market, and put up the slaughterhouse. The London market is a separate entity from the Salaga market. The Salaga market, I don't think we should take the people out of where they are now. They should be where they are, but the main market is there. What you see is the street, a regular street that has been turned into a market. The market is sitting idle. It was started, but it has not been completed. So the people can still be there, and then the market will be finished, and then they move in, and then the structures on the streets are demolished. You don't need to move them to the London market before you renovate the Salaga market. So they are separate entities. You don't need to move the people from Salaga market, from the street that they are occupying now, into the London market. They can be where they are, and the Salaga market will be renovated. And then they can move in, and then the structure that is on the street can be demolished.
You talk about is that you're going to institute a scholarship scheme to cater for all students who get grades 6 to 15. Yeah. That certainly is a huge number that it means you'd have to cater for. Yeah. What resources are you going to use from your common fund? What exactly, how are you going to get the money to fund this?
I've been a banker for 13 years. I know how to raise funds. And if I say I'm going to institute a scholarship scheme, we have a lot of institutions around. We have the Barclays Bank, the Standard Chartered Bank, Enterprise Insurance, Graphic Corporation, Accra Brewery, M&G Pharmaceuticals. These are institutions that have, they are premised on in our constituency. And I'm saying that once this thing is instituted and the transparency is there, they see that the thing is working well, we will not even go to them to come and help. Once they know there's something existing that is helping the students.
You don't think you have to do anything on your part as the NPP, as a political party, also to ensure peace?
What we can do to ensure peace is to always be on the alert and defend ourselves. That's the only way we can do it, because the person has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he cannot be controlled. He needs to be talked to, he needs to tone down on his violence posture, and that is what is going to help the whole constituency.
However, all attempts to reach his opponent proved futile. The Odododiodoo constituency is one of Ghana's electoral flashpoints. Recent clashes between the NDC and the NPP has given cause for many to be worried. Fatah Ayi is a resident of Bukom.
Every 4 years,
there is violence in Odododiodoo every 4 years. We have to be mindful of the happenings here, otherwise we'll just harm ourselves.
Theophilus Tete, another resident of Bukom, is equally worried.
Me, NPP.
We all belong to different parties. I support NPP, and I do not fight my opponents in NDC. I have a lot of people who do not talk to me because of my political affiliation.
The political battle lines are drawn in the Odododiodoo constituency. Let the battle of ideas begin.
And Maxwell could not put it any better. The battle of ideas in the Odododiodoo constituency is what we're all looking at as we head to the polls in the next 18 days. You're still watching the pulse here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. After the short break, we'll hop onto the campaign trail, tell you what's happening. Plus, another man has sued the Attorney General. But even before we do that, there's something happening in town today. Businessman Woyome has been addressing a news conference, raising a number of issues, including the fact that he says Mr. Martin Amidu, the former Attorney General, the man who will examine him next week Thursday, is being used by some unseen hands against the President of the Republic of Ghana. Let's get details on Joseph Akable is a man who covered the news conference for us. Joseph, good afternoon to you. First, tell us the major highlights of this news conference today.
Quite a number of issues, Francis. And the very first one he reacted to is the most recent. That has to do with the question being raised by Martin Amidu about whether indeed the 4 million cedi check issued to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, whether that money indeed got over to the Attorney General. And he has been explaining that indeed when he decided to pay that amount of money, he was confused as to whose name to write the check in. So he consulted the Attorney General to ask them as to whose name the check should be written into, after which he was directed to write the check in the name of the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And he was told that that particular account, which is operated by the in the name of the Economic and Organized Crime Office, is actually an account that is operated by the Finance Ministry. So that money will definitely hit the account of government. That was why he made a payment in the name of the Economic and Organized Crime Office. And subsequently, he says he received the receipt for the said amount. So that is it with regards to that bit about that payment. He has been talking a lot about that judgment that came in the very first place, directing that he makes the payment to the state. He maintains that there has been lots of misinformation in the public domain. He says the court never said the money was wrongfully paid to him. He says the court said the money was unconstitutional and he should pay the money back. And he says he disagrees with that judgment. And it's one thing that he intends to fight to the last drop of his blood. He again makes the point that he has a payment plan with the Attorney General that he intends to stick to. He says for the past 5 years, he has not been working. His work has been affected by this particular case. And he says he has problems when he keeps on hearing people saying that our money is with Mr. Woyome, our money is with Mr. Woyome. He says it was his money, was legally paid to him then, and now he has been asked to refund the money, and he has a payment plan. So he doesn't understand why he's being maltreated all around, as though he used a gun to get the money from the state coffers into his pocket. So apart from that also, he has been spending some time talking about the man who will be examining him in court come Thursday. And the point he's making is that he believes Martin Amidu is being used by unseen forces to make President John Dramani Mahama, who he believes is working very hard on playing the side of electorate to be voting. He says that indeed Martin Amidu was tagged by the president for insubordination. He says, in fact, there was a meeting when President Mills was then the president of Ghana, the late president. He says there was a meeting where Martin Amidu, he says the meeting was called concerning the president's health. And he says at that meeting, Mr. Amidu attempted to be president of the country. That is what we are still trying to get explanation as to what exactly he means by that. But he said because of that, the president was unhappy about Martin Amidu's conduct and intended to fire him. Then Martin Amidu goes to the public. He says he told the public that some ministers in government are corrupt. He said the president gave him 7 days to provide evidence and a list of those ministers. Mr. Amidu, he said, failed to do that. And since then, Mr. Amidu has decided to make him unpopular and make the government unpopular. And he believes he is being used by unseen forces just to make President Mahama unpopular.
And does he give us the list of these unseen forces, Joseph?
He doesn't mention, Francis. He doesn't mention. But in fact, he still maintains that it is something that is being done by Mr. Amidu. He says that, in fact, he pointed out that the last tranche of the money he received from the state, he said at that point, Mr. Amidu was the Attorney General. And this is the same person, he says, is fighting him that the money was wrongfully paid. This same person says he's going to retrieve the money for the country. He says, Ghanaians should ask Mr. Amidu why he supervised that last tranche of payments if he believed that indeed the money shouldn't have been paid in and that it was a wrongful payment made to him. So that is the point I'm making, Francis.
Okay. Now, one more thing that we know has come up today at the news conference is about him responding to some talks of names being peddled around of those who are beneficiaries of that 51 million Ghana cedis. What has he been talking about in that regard?
He says no such list exists. And in fact, the point he made was that any person who possibly received any of that amount of money, that person may have been a vendor who rendered some services for him. him at a point. In fact, he makes the point that Mr. Obi Amwa, who was a minister back then, he says that he did some work for him. He made some payments to him, and indeed that was legitimate payment because the person worked and deserved the payment. He said the 50 million was paid into an ADB account of his. It was his personal account, and he was paid into it. And afterwards, he only paid only those who rendered some form of services to him in relation to the work, for which reason he decided to sue the government for and got that judgment in his favor. So he says it is not accurate for him to create the impression that he received the money illegally and he went around sharing the money. He has been questioned why he should be going around sharing the money. He says he's a hard-working person. And in fact, Francis, he has been talking about certain things that he says he has done for the government of Ghana. He says the very first time Ghana qualified to participate in the World Cup, he says at a point the country was to go to Portugal to train, but he even provided the funds for the country to rather move over to Austria, where the country undertook training sessions there. He believes that even contributed to the country's sterling performance in that very first appearance in the World Cup. He says he has dealt with government, he has dealt with President Kufuor, he has dealt with the current government and different presidents across the globe. So he doesn't understand why people still want to put him across as someone who has stolen money from the country. He says he disagrees with that very judgment. The review judgment is the one he's referring to, the one that says he should repay the money to the state, simply not because he didn't do any work, he points out. He says he was asked to repay the money because the court felt that agreement should have gone to Parliament and he didn't go to Parliament. And he says he's a citizen of Ghana, he's not from Azerbaijan, he doesn't understand why that judgment was given, and that is what he will continue to fight. But as it stands, he respects the decision.
All right, Joseph, one more thing just before I let you go. Did he say anything about whether or not
Say again, Francis.
I'm asking Joseph, did he mention whether or not he will be present at the examination next Thursday?
Yes, he says, that is the directive coming from the court. His lawyers are still looking into other issues. But as far as he's aware, once the court has given that directive, he's supposed to be present. So he will comply with that unless something legal changes in the directive coming from the court. Okay.
So did he also explain why this news conference was important today?
Yeah, the point he makes is that this morning especially, he said when he woke up, he saw quite a number of headlines in the dailies, which he says a good number of them, in his opinion, are misleading, and he says they are misinformation that is being peddled out there, all with the intent of starting to the current government and making the current government unpopular. The very one that he was very unhappy about had to do with that which sort of suggests that he had issued a fake check to the Attorney General's department. He said, in fact, he has issued a check, the money has cleared, and he has received the said amount. So that was the very reason why he decided to call this press conference, and it is hope that he has been able to correct any misinformation in the public domain, Francis.
Okay. Now, beyond what we've already touched on, anything else that happened at the news conference, Joseph?
Yes, Francis. The point he again mentioned is the fact that there are some views, especially, he says Martin Amido has put that across to create the impression that when there was a change in government, that was why he took advantage of that demand some money from the current in terms of the NDC government, and he was able to get that money. He said that is not accurate. He says in actual sense, he had been engaging government, they were negotiating, the money was not being paid to him. And he again says that if people had taken a careful look at even the very first judgment that came from the court that was presided over by Justice Dateba, that in that case the court declined jurisdiction because the matter was before other courts. He said if people are taking a critical look at it, people often peddle that statement around that it was a case of create, loot, and share. He says that statement was a concurring opinion of Justice Jones Doche, who was then in that panel that came out with that declined jurisdiction in the matter because the matter was before a different court. But it says people go around and peddle that around as if that was an opinion of the court. He says that wasn't the case. He again says that he would have expected that once the review application came before the Supreme Court, the same Justice Doche who had used those words, despite stating that he agreed with the position that the court didn't have jurisdiction in the very first matter, he said he would have expected that Justice Doche would have recused himself from that matter. But yet again, he was disappointed that he went out to take part in the matter, and he even said he in fact wrote that judgment that said that the payment made to him was unconstitutional, and as a result of that, the money should be paid back to the state, Francis.
All right, Joseph. Clearly, a lot more we will hear from this news conference. Details some more later. But thank you, Joseph, for that update from the press center where Mr. Alfred Woyome, the businessman, who will be examined next Thursday at the Supreme Court by former Attorney General Martin Amido, has been addressing that news conference. We'll go for a short break now. When we come back, help you digest what you've already heard and also check out what's happening on the campaign trail. The Electoral Commission, in fact, has been sued again. By whom? Details after the break. Stay with us.